guys? This is Andrew from Greek Speak, back with another episode. Had a great episode with CJ Pena from Angeles State in Texas last week. This week, we have another dear friend of mine through the Kappa Sigma fraternity, and especially through our internship with Mr. Xander. Xander, what's going on, man?
Hey Andrew, how you doing on this evening?
Good. Finally, it looks like it's a nicer day of weather out. I know that in the Maryland, Pennsylvania area, we've been dealing with lots of rain over the last, say, 72 hours. So that's definitely not been fun. My allergies are kicking my butt recently.
Same here in Pennsylvania. My regular daily job is mowing lawns, and I've been stuck inside since it's way too wet to go around and get that done.
Yes, I mean, what exactly are you doing this summer? I mean, obviously, it's a lot different coming from when you're at school, and especially in the fraternity. You get your go, 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 whether it's school or fraternal order or the fraternal order. But when you go back home, it's kind of a completely different life. So what exactly are you doing this summer?
Well, my Monday to Thursday job from 6 in the morning to 4:30 in the evening is working for a township, and I mainly mow lawns and weed whack unless it's a rainy day, like I was saying, where they kind of just keep us inside and we do maintenance, clean trucks, stuff like that. So most of my day consists of waking up, checking on some parks, then we drive around to our locations, we mow them, weed whack them, and then we move on to the next. After I get home, I usually try and eat a decent dinner and then hit the gym and call it an evening after that. It's pretty straightforward stuff.
Yeah, it's something that it's definitely a good lifestyle that you have there. I mean, how often would you say you're going to the gym?
I try to do 4 to 6 times a week, but sometimes it only ends up being 4. But honestly, that's okay for the progression rate that I'm moving at.
Yeah, I mean, is that something that you started yourself, or is that something that you saw multiple brothers and yourself doing while you were back at Kutztown?
Mixture of both. I've gone in and out with the gym, but the fraternity is seeing all my friends in the gym and the brothers helps me motivate myself to keep going back.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that's something that we implemented this past semester, or last year, back in the spring. I mean, I'm the Grandmaster of Ceremonies or VP of Membership Development, and we added a personal wellness chair underneath me, and it started off a little slow because it kind of just we added a couple different chairs at that point. I didn't really know what was going on, and I had a lot going on in my personal life at that point. But definitely at the end of the semester and in the summer, we've really ramped up the chair. We have a group chat. It's just wellness. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like people just send pictures at the gym, and it's just like wellness, or like, oh, what'd they eat today, or something like that. But it's just a great way to keep us all like motivated and pushing each other. And it's really cool so far to see people's progress. But yeah, I mean, that's something that we've done, and I've started to do. I've been going roughly about 3-4 days a week, but as I said, allergies were kicking my butt over the weekend, so I was kind of like bedridden for a few days, which is kind of weird, but I usually get allergies really bad around this time of year, and then back in October, November-ish, so it wasn't strange for the timing, I would say, but it's something, is your chapter big on personal wellness?
We don't necessarily have a chair like you said, but a lot of us are big on our personal health, physically and mentally. Like I said, the gym was something that I started doing on my own before joining the fraternity, and as time has gone on, I have continued due to seeing brothers and seeing friends in the gym and continuing to motivate myself to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely motivation for me, I'd say, but for some reason, I don't like going to work out with people. I'm kind of like to stick to myself when I go to the gym, I'd say, because I think when I'm one of those people I like to get in and out, max an hour. That's just my personal preference. So I mean, I see a lot of brothers that are going for 2.5 hours. I'm like, oh, that's not me. But so kind of getting on that. So obviously, I kind of said Kutztown. So what ultimately led to you choosing Kutztown University, and what are you studying?
So at Kutztown, I'm studying cinema, television, and media. Originally, I didn't really want to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was kind of stuck in my own ways. And then my senior year, I took a class called Digital Media at the Technical College, which was a high school, even though it was referred to as a technical college, it was like a technical college high school, and it was right up the street. Students from schools all over my county would go to classes there, and it could be like welding or business, mechanics, all the sorts of barbers, all sorts of different stuff. People go there and take classes for 2 hours, and then they would go back to their regular school, and that would count as like electives. And that digital media class taught me photography, videography, graphic design, sound design, all sorts of different stuff. But photography really stuck with me. I was able to borrow a camera from that class and pick it up for my first time at the beginning of my senior year. I was given a volunteer opportunity to take pictures for our football team as a photographer, offering free pictures on the side to families who didn't want to pay for the professional, just to have something that might not be nearly as good, but was free pictures of their kids playing the sport anyways. And from there, I began taking more and more pictures, and I really enjoyed it. It got a lot of traction. And then after that, I got my own camera, and it continued to get traction. And I went to a couple of different schools. I didn't want to go anywhere very big. So places in Pennsylvania like Penn State were out of my options, but I toured multiple schools in the PSAC, which is what Shippensburg is a part of, and Kutztown, as well as Millersville, schools like that. That's mainly where I visited. I did eventually visit Ship in the beginning of my year, but my senior year I just hated it because I was so not anything ship wise. It was just far, and I had to
Yeah.
stay the night for the tour. It was so out of touch for me. I just wasn't a fan. But I had a friend who was at the time a sophomore from my area. We were good buddies, and he went to Kutztown, and I was able to go on a personal tour with him, and that really opened up my eyes. And I decided after like my photography and videography got traction that I was going to take those talents to Kutztown because I figured when I went to school, I wanted something small but not insanely small, like Elizabethtown. I'm unsure if you've ever heard of that, but
Yeah.
that was like 1,000 to 2,000 students, where Kutztown is 7,500, which is like a pretty, it's not a huge number to the point where I don't see the same people or I've never seen the same person twice, but it's a big enough school to where it doesn't feel like high school where you know every single person, which is also nice. So I took my talents there, and I knew due to the size factor, I wasn't going to have as much of a problem getting a job because it wouldn't be nearly as competitive. And it was a lot more competitive than I thought. Even my boss had said, like, my freshman year when I had signed up, I was lucky I reached out when I did because there was a large influx of incoming photographers to the school and videographers. So I was able to beat out the competition skill wise, not to toot my own horn, but also time wise. So that was
Yeah, I mean it's great just being able to follow your passions, and it's pretty inspiring that you said, like, you weren't one of those people that necessarily wanted to go to college, and then ultimately tried a new class at the end of your high school tenure, and ultimately that's a path you want to go down. So, like, kind of going off that, I mean, I feel like it kind of seems obvious, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? Like, after college, where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself up to? What are you doing?
I see myself going two ways. I see myself first off running my own business because that's almost, I want to say, the simple answer for this. Almost as a freelancer, but I'd like to work with a team who I'm sure people would be interested in joining in the future, just based on like the connections I have through the industry. It's very easy to connect with people. You're on a sideline, you see someone else with a camera, you walk up, say hello. Oh, what kind of camera you got? And then all of a sudden you guys are following each other on Instagram, and then the next week you're DMing your pictures from the game. So that's my idea. I wanted to do like a big business with a not a large group, but a decent sized group of people that serviced one big area and took over. Or I have a friend who also was interested in college but dropped out because his plans changed, and he's now become a influencer with hundreds of thousand followers on multiple platforms. His name is Paul Ziegler. Shout out to him. He does a lot of great work for himself. He's very like meal prep motivated. He's focused a lot on God. He hits the gym every day. All of his content is about becoming the best version of yourself, following God, and being a better person. And I always wanted to do influencer style content when like ever since I was younger. I wanted to do YouTube, and then as I got older and got on other social medias like Instagram, TikTok, that short form comment content
Content.
really stands out to me. And I believe if I get it started up throughout my college career, whenever that may be, and it takes traction or gets traction, that I could be doing that in the future.
Obviously, there's a little bit of an elephant in the room, with us both being Kappa Sigs and, really sharing, the unique bond of being Kappa Sigmas. But how exactly would you say your journey as a Kappa Sigma began? I mean, entering campus as a first semester freshman at Kutztown. What's it like there? I mean, what was your experience like as a P&M? Kind of going through the searching process, and ultimately what led to you choosing Kappa Sigma at the end of the day?
So my first semester, due to how focused I was on my photography and videography, I was mainly going to class and then going to sporting events in the evening, whether that would be my position as a intramural photographer or my position as a varsity sport photographer, or even just going out to a club game on a Friday night. I
Yeah.
wasn't big on the whole fraternity scene until I met some people in the fraternity and they told me about it, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a really cool idea. I began reaching out to the other fraternities because there's not very many here at Kutztown. We're quite a small school. After I reached out to everybody, I checked most places out during their rush weeks, attended their events, and I just felt most at home at Kappa Sigma. Everyone was nice to me. The people who I was joining with were up the hall. They were all in it with me. We loved it. And yeah, I accepted my bid, and my journey since has been great. I've upheld plenty of chair positions, and I just recently was elected onto our executive committee. And I couldn't be more excited about it and proud of myself for taking a step out of my comfort zone and doing something I never expected to do.
I completely agree. So, when would you have? So, are you going to be a junior or a senior in college? That up in the fall during the fall.
I'm going to be a junior in college,
So
and I joined my spring semester of my freshman year. So when fall hits, that will be my fourth semester with the fraternity.
nice. So it'd been spring of 2024. So um, it's been a little bit. Been you hit your 1 year this year. Time flies. I mean, I've been a brother since spring of 2023. In my time, I've held positions such as social chairman. Um, I've said it multiple times. I never actually was under the recruitment title or rush, um, like chairholder, but I just did it and I worked with our chairholders. Um, I mean, the chairholder is one of my good friends, Mike Burrows. So we worked together, and I mean, we've brought in a lot of people, and it taught me a lot of life skills, especially with being a communications major, being able to effectively communicate with people. And then I also held the public relations chair for about 6 months, and that really grew my love for social media. I also during that time period I was taking a social media strategy class. That's really, really where, okay, and now I was doing the Instagram, and now I was learning about ways to grow it, grow engagement. And I mean, not again, not to toot my own horn, but we gained over 600 followers in my time period as the public relations chairperson. We sat around 400 when I got it, and we were crossed over their 1,000 line right as I was passing it on to my predecessor and one of our co-hosts, Mr. Luke Rainey. But you mentioned that you held multiple positions. What chair positions did you hold, and ultimately what what EC position? And I guess I should say, and I've said it before, I was elected the Grand Master of Ceremonies in spring of 2024, and then I was reelected for a second term in spring of 2025. So just incredibly excited. I learned a lot, and there's definitely been some ups and downs, and that's life. And I'm really hard on myself, and that's something that was a big struggle of mine. Is you're gonna make mistakes, but you got to pick yourself back up. Like they're not the end of the world, and if someone's you know maybe raising their voice at you, they're not trying to be mean. They're trying to help you, and I've learned that a lot. And I tell people that all the time. Like during rush, I'm strict with my rush chairs. I tell them this is what we need to do. I give them my expectations, and but it's not like I leave them out to dry. I'm in the battlefields with them, doing everything that they're doing. I'm doing it with them. But during that time of the year, I'm very, very like Kappa Sigma, Kappa Sigma, Kappa Sigma. And, I've been lucky to really focus on my grades as well. Like, that's not something I go away from, but definitely during that time, I'm all like, rush, let's get as many guys as possible. But kind of going back to you, what positions did you hold? And then ultimately, what's your EC position?
Well, for starters, I want to say congratulations on being reelected for a second term, as well as growing your social media to such a high number. Because I started off as a rush chair. That was my very first position. And I worked very hard over the summer into our fall to recruit one of the largest classes we've ever seen, if not the largest. And alongside of that, I was social media slash t-shirt chair because we used to communicate with our t-shirt guy. Shout out to fraternities. We used to communicate with them strictly through DMs until I took the step forward and built a relationship with one of their amazing workers, Logan. And so through running social media, I also helped design our t-shirts, and both of those were really, really fun. Like I said, I recruited one of the, if not the largest classes we've ever seen in our fraternity, as well as creating some of the most fun and iconic shirts we've ever seen, or at least I like to believe that. A lot of people really enjoyed the shirts. Our sales weren't as high as they normally were. Like our Halloween shirts from the year before sold 80, where this year we got around 50 to 60. But still, a lot of cool designs came out of it that I'm proud of. A popular one was our cancer awareness shirt that me and the Scribe kind of threw together last minute, and it sold like hotcakes within a week. We probably would have sold more if we had more time to sell, but we had to be quick to get them out on time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so social media wise, I've taken it to a whole new level. If you look through our page, Kappa Sigma KU, beforehand, there was really outdated highlights with no good highlight covers. And we had only posted, I want to say, 5 or 6, more or less, give or take, times in the whole year last year. And over the summer and throughout the semester, and then even the next semester, I was reelected to do it again. We totally reformed our Instagram page. I created a style that I took from my own photography and my own Instagram page, and I kind of put it onto ours. The graphic design aspect wasn't perfect in the beginning, and it's still not perfect just because it's not one of my strong suits, but I make every single shirt graphic, and then all of our posts. Like I said, added my own photography style. So when we would go to events, I would bring my camera with me, edit the pictures with my preset, and then format them the way that I would do, because it makes it stand out from every other fraternity. Eh, Through this, I grew our page. I want to say 400 to 500 followers. I can't remember the exact range we were hanging around before I got access to the account, but we are now just passing the 1200 range. and I feel like more people have caught on to who we are and what we do as a fraternity just through our Instagram page. Some
Hmm.
days I'll check and I'll see that our engagement is close to like 75,000 in the past 30 days, like accounts interacted, which is sweet. Most of our posts get 10,000 views or more. Sometimes likes on like t-shirt graphics compared to something like our formal post,
Yeah.
which was 300 versus 60. It's not always there, but
It's something you learn. It's people love people, and I've heard that so many times from Luke Rainey, and as I said, he's the current PR chair, and there's so many times that we've seen that. Whether we used to just do a rush flyer, like a rush flyer post, and it get like 40 likes, whereas this past year we implemented a rush hype video, and it was by far the most liked and just overall engaged with post in our account's history.
I would have to 100% agree with that because, like I was saying, after my fall term, I was reelected to do social media and t-shirt once again, and then I was a overseer for Rush opposed to being one of the head chairmen. So I just kind of looked over the head chairman as they did their work. And with that, this past spring, we took the time and we filmed our own Rush video. Just like how I was saying, I took some of my photography skills and implemented them. We went out with my camera. Most of the clips are filmed on my camera, where previously we would have Rush videos, but they would be just a couple of pictures of us doing philanthropy and stuff like that. This one actually kind of showcased who we are as people and what we do. I got a lot of clips of us working out. I got a lot of clips of us playing sports together. I showed off some videos of our house as well. They're cliff jumping and snowboarding. Those were filmed on iPhone, but even then, I was able to implement my style onto that and include it in the video. And that did numbers compared to our Rush Flyer. I'm looking at it right now. The views on the video was 10.6K versus 6,000 on the flyer, and 230 likes versus 72, with almost four times the shares on the video as opposed to the schedule, which stinks because not many people are actually seeing the dates and times of the events. But next time we do another video, which we're planning on doing, we can utilize that to push the schedule further once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's also just all of it's all life. It's just being the ability to recognize when it's time to adapt and make changes, because there may be something that does well for a long time and then ultimately it goes stale and you got to move on. And it may be something that you started and it's hard to move on because it's like, well, that's my baby. I put a lot of time into that. But I think that's what makes people strong characters is, overall good people, is when they acknowledge when it's time to make a change. But um, obviously, we've been having a good talk so far. But I think the your latest position has definitely been the coolest one. So, what is the your current position that you hold?
So I currently am the Grand Scribe, which I handle a lot of our philanthropy as well as the other parts of Scribe, but that's something that we mainly do with our Grand Scribe position. So for the upcoming year, I will be implementing a lot of new philanthropy ideas to help our fraternity not only showcase itself more in what we do for the community, but also just be better than we were last year and help the community more than we did before.
Yes, I mean, I want to mention you guys did just hold a head shaving event a couple weeks ago. It was right before finals week, that, if I remember correctly. How exactly did that happen? I know that you were one of the people that participated. Uh, what was the planning like behind that event, and ultimately how was the execution of it?
So, yeah, right now I am totally bald. Um, most of the work for the event was done by the previous scribe, but I know for the most part, a big part of it is the sponsorships. So we usually pick our date and then we reserve a pavilion at the Kutztown Park, which is right up the street. And then a huge part of helping fundraise is, like I said, those sponsorships. So we will run around town to local businesses and um, national businesses. So, for example, we have Mark's Sandwich Shop, which is a sandwich shop run by a local, and then we also had Dunkin' Donuts. So two very different sponsors, but we would leave jars, or we would not just leave, but we would ask like, "Hey, can we put a jar in here?" And there would be a jar at the counter with our Shave to Save graphic on the front, like the flyer that we posted.
Yeah.
And people, like, when checking out of places, would just donate if they had the money. So Dunkin' Donuts was one of them, and then Rita's was another one. So a couple big, like, named companies, and then some smaller Kutztown companies, like I was saying. And so those jars were a big part, as well as when you pay for a sponsorship, you not only get your name on the back of the shirt, but your money goes straight to the American Cancer Society. And then on top of that, brothers use their bingo boards to raise about $45 each. No, $45 each, not about. It's 45 or more. So some people raise more. I think I raised around 50.
Hmm.
Some people raise the flat 45. But after all of us raise that money, it also goes straight to the American Cancer Society or the foundation we happen to be donating to for that event. And then day of, when it comes to getting there, we have other things rather than just the razor and the brothers to shave their heads. We have snacks and water bottles for sale. There are a ton of shaving cream so that you can pie the brothers in a sense instead of whipped cream, because whipped cream or Cool Whip, whatever you decide, can be a little sticky and more expensive. So we find that using shaving cream is more efficient.
Yep, I mean that's
And
another event that we do, and it's not my favorite event because I have very sensitive eyes, and somehow, no matter what, if I have my eyes open or closed, they still get in my eyes, and then I'm miserable. So that's always one of those events where I kind of stand off to the side and, the young guys, you got it.
yeah, totally. I got pied again this year. I shaved the year before. It was right after I had joined, and I wasn't going to do it, but I was convinced pretty easily. So this year I went into it thinking like, "Oh, I did it before, I can do it again." And last year I really didn't like it, but this year around, since I had already done it and I knew what it felt like, I was much more confident. So once the shaving cream got in my hair, my roommate and really best friend went first. He had a big head of hair and he shaved it all off. And so I was like, "All right, he's done now. I have shaving cream in my hair that's not coming out, no matter how much water I put in it. I'd rather just get it done and over with." So then I shaved my head then and there. And like I said, my roommate had a ton of hair. So that prompted more people to kind of go in there and shave their heads. The big thing about it is people in the moment, when you ask like who is going to shave their head, they don't want to. They're like, "Oh, I don't know," because they're worried for a bunch of different reasons. But then the time comes around and everyone gets the energy going and you see someone shave their head, or someone's like, "Dude, what if we do it together?" And then you make a pact with that person. And ultimately we went from like only 2 to 4 of us who were pre-planned to do it. We ended up with 20,
Really?
which is, yeah, the most we've seen in a while. So that was almost half of our brothers. So that was really cool to see. A lot of people who you wouldn't expect to do it did it just because everyone was doing it and they were like, why not? Most people do it at least one time. So,
So this is an annual event, I'm assuming.
yeah. So in the fall, we do our car smash for military heroes. We do a wing bowl race and then we move back to our house right across the street at the local restaurant. They have really good wings, so we do our wing bowl race there, and then literally right across the street, we move back to our parking lot, and we do a car smash. And then the car is pretty much free, so you're just donating to the cause. This year was military, no veterans moving forward, and you donate to the cause and then you get to smash the car. And then, like I said, there's also snacks and water around. And I can't remember, I don't think there's any other gimmick besides the wing bowl in the beginning. But um, after that in the fall, then we have our annual Shave to Save again for cancer.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great event, and that's something that probably off call. It's something I'll probably get connected with you about, and probably try to get my scribe Drew Williams connected with, and our president Luke, because at the end of the day, we are both Kappa Sigmas, and I want to do everything I can to help you guys, and I hope that you guys feel the same. And I was that's the whole purpose of these shows, these episodes, is to learn. I'm someone that loves to learn. I know I sound like a little bit of a library geek there, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I always like to learn. I like to learn new things because, as I talked about earlier, it's the ability to adapt and make changes. And something we do is we do a dunk tank every year at our homecoming event, and that's always a huge success. But it sounds like you guys have multiple set events, and that's something I really want to implement in my last year as an active brother at the Kappa Lambda chapter. But ultimately, as I said, we've been having a great conversation so far, and there's some good things that have come from it. But obviously, you talked about not wanting to go to college, or not sure about college, I should say. What would you say if you were put? I mean, obviously, I think you have a great insight with being a former rush chairs. What is some advice that you would give to, let's say a P&M that's on the fence? So they, in your shoes, they were someone that was, maybe skeptical about going to college, and then here they are in college, and then now they're on the fence about joining Greek life. Or they don't have to necessarily be that, but what would be some like lessons that you would teach them, or advice that you would give them that ultimately would, ease them into hopefully doing it at the end of the day?
Honestly, it might be easier said than done. I saw this in a very similar podcast. I want to say earlier this fiscal year, or maybe even in the summer. I can't necessarily remember, but the the question is like, why should you join a fraternity, or like why not? And the dude is just like, just try it. You never know what could come of it. You don't know what could come of anything until you try it. Like I said, that's easier said than done, but most people nowadays, like, yes, there are different risks to take at anything, but you never know until you try it. And that goes for anything. And we're in college. You should really be, you know,
Willing to step outside of your comfort zone, as you know in high school, that you're going to school with people that are pretty much from your area, that live within a 20-minute radius of each other, whereas college, I mean, you could be going to school with people that live halfway across the world. I mean,
that's exactly what I was just gonna say. I mean, you get to college and you're already in a whole different zone than you were in high school. You're used to waking up, getting to school around, I don't know, everyone's different, but sometime in the morning, and then you're at school for 6 hours and you're home in the afternoon. Whereas now you've got maybe one, maybe two, maybe three, maybe four, maybe five, maybe even six classes in a day if you're smart, but no more than six throughout the week, and they're scattered throughout your days. Sometimes you might not even have class every day, depending on what your schedule is. You're not. held down by a parent. You live in your own space. I mean, maybe you live with a roommate, but oftentimes you're not living with your parent at school, unless you're commuting, obviously. But for the most part, you're eating on your own, scheduling on your own, managing time on your own, whole different lifestyle. And in order to thrive out there, instead of just living in that space and doing class and nothing else every day, you need to step outside of your comfort zone and make the most of it. And if a fraternity intrigues you, don't let yourself be held back by whatever's holding you back. It's just something that you should give a try, because people are just afraid to try new things out of fear it won't work. Because if it doesn't work, sure, it might stink for a little bit, no matter what it is. I mean, that could go for relationships or even food. People these days won't even try new foods because they don't want to know how it tastes. And you never know, it could be one of your new favorite things until you try it. And then if you don't, oh, it might stink for a little bit, it tastes a little bad. Drink some water and wash it down, and then you're good. Or eat something else and you're totally fine. You know what I mean? People don't realize like mistakes and trial and error is an okay thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny you bring up the food thing. I'm one of those people, and I'm one of those people that doesn't really like to try new things. I kind of get a set thing of what I like, and that's kind of what I want to do. I'm a little stubborn there. I'm very picky, but I'm definitely one of those people that likes to try different things. Whether it's, I went to college and I tried Greek life, and it's been nothing but the best. Honestly, it's been the best decision I've ever made. So, obviously, we've talked. You've been in Kappa Sigma for about a year. Um, what professional developments have you seen? Potential jobs, internships? I know there's an internship that you want to talk about. So, what exactly
I
is it?
mean,
What exactly is it? You know, how did that happen? And, what have you learned from it?
so as I'm sure you've mentioned on here before, we are both interns for the communications department of our headquarters, or some of you know them, nationals, depending on what your, term for it is. But I saw that opportunity come up and I instantly thought to myself, internship in my field that I could acquire as a sophomore. So I instantly got to working on my cover letter and my resume and stuff like that, making sure it was submitted as soon as possible. For some reason, the submission was closed for me when I first I was done way early. Like I want to say I got that email and I instantly got to work on everything. And then within the day or two, I tried to submit it and it didn't go through. So I was really very worried. And then they got back to me really quickly and were like, "Here, just send your stuff here." But it took me like multiple times to try and get it in, because then the submission still wasn't working. And then I sent it to someone, then someone else hopped in on the email and was like, "Hey, send it to me instead." Um, but it eventually got through, and I did my interview, and I was very, very nervous about it just because I had never interviewed for a job like this before. The only job I think I've ever actually interviewed for, no, I've interviewed for two jobs. One of them was at Best Buy when I was younger. My skill set, I was like 15 at the time, so my skill set to realistically work at Best Buy on the Geek Squad was not there. But the other one was rock climbing coach, and they just needed to,
know that
double
you
check
have
that I
know
wasn't
that
gonna.
you know that you weren't lying, and know that you had some experience.
Yeah, I mean, I was believe it or not, a competitive rock climber back in the day, but it was just like it was summer camp coaching as well. It was just, double checking that I wasn't a goober just on the team who liked rock climbing, wanting to make some money. Like that's something that I was actually competent in doing. So I was very nervous for my internship. Not my internship, my interview. I thought it was quite shaky, but I did get the internship, which was lucky. And I've met countless people through it, such as you or CJ, who was on last week, Ian, Yosef, and plenty of others. And it has helped open up many other opportunities, such as our Grand Conclave this summer. I was able to work with CJ on creating a logo, and through that, I am now guaranteed a spot to go with my chapter. So that's going to be a really fun and cool experience to meet brothers across the nation
Mm-hmm.
and experience something new and learn something new. It's a perfect example of, once again, stepping outside of your box. I haven't been on a plane in over 4 years, which that part isn't necessarily outside of my box, but I'm once again, just like college, going to be unsupervised with 2 to 3 of my other brothers at this conference, and then I will get to meet plenty of other people, which the unsupervised part doesn't go and mean like, we're going to be in Vegas. It means I just get to time manage on my own, go to the event on my own, and, you know, just enjoy myself without being, you know, at
Microman.
home.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It's not like I'm going up the street and then coming home for dinner. You know what I mean? I'm going to be in Vegas with my buddies. We're going to be eating meals on our own, scheduling our days on our own, stuff like that. So that'll be a great time.
Well, I'll be there with you, buddy, and I'm really, really excited. And I went to last year's conference in New Orleans, and honestly, I think it was one of the most beneficial things I've ever been a part of. Whether it was the big meetings or the breakout sessions, I would definitely say the breakout sessions because I was able to really speak up and share my stories about my chapter, and I was actually able to get connected with multiple people there that were like, "Oh, well, I really like what you guys do. Can we get in contact?" And that put a lot of smiles on my face because it's like we worked really hard to rebuild this place. Our chapter was not necessarily in the greatest spot, say 4 years ago, and in the 2 years since, it's completely made a 180, and we're up at 54 guys. We've had the highest amount of brothers or for a fraternity on campus for the last 3 years, or like 2 to 3 years, I would say. We've had the highest GPA. I mean, we're just setting records at this point, and I tell a lot of people I feel like we're just competing with ourselves. But I don't want to discredit what any of the other fraternities are doing. I mean, our numbers at Shippensburg for Greek life they're all doing very well, and that was something that was really up in the air when COVID happened. You know, are these numbers going to decrease because not as many people were going to school? But yes, at that time our numbers decreased. It went from 50 to 20 within like a year. But we've really quickly rebounded, and we're back up in the 50s, and we're easily going to be hitting the 60s, possibly the 70s by the end of the year.
I was just going to ask you the question myself, actually. So you would say that in the aspects of recruitment, academics, and any other areas that you guys might be the leaders in on your campus?
Oh, 100%. I mean, a post today was posted about Shippensburg posted a recap of I don't know if it was the year or the semester. We were the only fraternity included. The only Greek life. I think we might have been the only Greek life included. And we were in 6, 7 shots. No, five. No, there was a couple of different organizations. I think it was just us fraternity wise though. But 100%. But I don't look at it that way. I have a lot of friends. One of my good friends, Mike Rainey. He's the president of Pi Lambda Phi. He's been on our show. Wow, it seems that was about 20 episodes ago. It's been a long time. I definitely think he needs to come on back. This is my hint to bring him back. But he's been one of my good friends since we both came to college. And yes, we both joined different organizations, but I still talk to him pretty often. And I would do anything for him, and I hope he'd do the same for me, organizational wise or personal wise. But I don't look at it that way. I look at it as we're the standard. Like, I want to help you guys. We Sigma Tau or Sig Tau Gamma is just recently got approved to come back on our campus, and their founding fathers are like some of my really good friends. TJ, he was on the show a couple weeks ago, and I sat down and told him, I said, dude, I will help you as much as you want. Obviously, I'm going to keep some things to myself because I want to remain the best. There's a reason why Kappa Sigma is the biggest fraternity in the world. But, at the end of the day, TJ is my friend, and I want to see Greek life as a whole succeed. And
This isn't a Kappa Sigma podcast, not yet. I think you know what I'm hinting at there, which is really, really exciting for me. But this is Greek speak. This is a Greek life podcast, to bring awareness and spread awareness about Greek life and ultimately go back to what you said of why should you do it? And that's why we started this thing back in September, and it's been nothing but a blast. But for this last little portion, you kind of started it off already. I want to flip it to you. Ask me whatever you want, and I'll do my best to answer it.
What do you I think for me, what do you recommend to people who are on the fence of joining a fraternity?
Well, everyone likes to say I give them a little belly rub and I look like Santa when I do it, but um, no, I do the same thing that you do. Like I honestly kind of give them like, well, what else are you gonna do? And like my buddy, our grand scribe Drew, two of his friends or his roommates, Ethan and Chris, um, were gonna join, and he was gonna wait another semester, and I'm like, why? I was like, you're not gonna want to. I was like, you're gonna want to do it now because it's gonna be more fun. And ultimately, Drew he's my grand little, but I like to tell people he's my little. That's probably one of my closest friends within the fraternity, and I've seen such tremendous growth in him, and I'm so so proud of him. But yes, I tell people, well, my one strategy is my first three interactions. I would say I don't even try to talk about Kappa Sigma. I don't even try to talk about Greek life. If they bring it up, I'll talk about it. But really tell them it. I tell them, do you want more friends? Do you want friends? Because coming to college is so scary. In high school you grew up with people, your friends were 5 minutes down the road, whereas college you're on your own for the first time in your life. So like having people that you can really connect with, and in my story, the guys there was a campus fair and they were playing football and I really like football, so I just started talking to them and they invited me over and we watched preseason football, and that's something I will go to the grave with. I will always remember that and I will always cherish that. So I really tell them that at the end of the day, it's just connections that you can make, whether it's someone you can say hi to on campus or someone that can really push you hard in the classroom. But yeah, I honestly give them the benefit, like I give them the question of why not, like try and see what happens. And I provide them with numerous cases of people, success stories, whether it's Jerry Jones or Lamar Hunt or Rick Barry, three of our famous alumni, or our last year's Man of the Year, who is Craig Melvin, who's the voice of the Today Show. I just provide them with stories, and I also tell them, I guarantee you, if you do this, you will not leave college without an internship or a job. And I tell them that in the most straight up, extreme tone. I'm being serious. It's not a lie. It's a truth.
Yeah, there's plenty of benefits that can come from it, and I agree that adding to the question of like why not do it, it's like what else is there to do if you're not playing a sport or you're not in a club for your special interest, if you're just going to class and you know, hitting the gym and maybe hanging out with the people in your dorm, if you're content with that, that's good for you. But there's so much more to life and so much more to get ahead on than just those couple things I mentioned, just living like a pretty basic life. And I think adding on to the why not aspect with a what else is there to do is kind of like it's cliche, but at the same time, it's not because it's the truth. And that doesn't go to say like once you join the fraternity, you can't do other things. We have plenty of brothers who play club sports or in clubs as well as be in the fraternity. I mean, on top of joining, I work two jobs, like I mentioned. One is for, I mean, they're both photography jobs, but one is for our intramural sports and the other one is for our varsity sports, which would be like the basketball 5-on-5 league versus the actual football team who travels and plays teams like Shippensburg, or Shippensburg comes to us and plays stuff like that. And then to add on to that, I also do the internship, and I run my own creative media club. So there's a lot that you can do and build off of with the fraternity because I mean, creating my own club and running it, not only have outsiders come up to me, but even brothers have been like, this is something that I could get into. And um yeah, there's just so much you can do with it. It's like even this internship and making our way to Las Vegas. We're going to meet so many people. I mean, I wasn't even in New Orleans last year, and I'm somehow in a group chat with social chairs and recruitment chairs from chapters across the nation working together to help each other fine tune their schedules, fine tune their flyers, their videos, come up with new events and great ideas to help their rush flourish the most it can.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, we're the biggest fraternity in the world, and we all share that unique bond of wearing the star and crescent, being Kappa Sigmas at the end of the day. But I mean, the last thing I got for you is what? Why would you say, what would you say is the purpose on your interest on coming onto the show? I mean, obviously, people have different cliche answers. One could be, "Oh, you asked." I mean, yeah, I asked, but I mean, that's kind of boring, I guess. But why were you interested in coming on the show at the end of the day?
Well, like I was talking to you earlier, I think social media and influencing is something cool that I would be like interested in doing and picking up. I mean, not that I would be interested, it's something that I was interested in and still am for years. I mean, I have videos on YouTube that are currently private, but I mean, I used to make my own YouTube vlogs and stuff like this. And then when you see like those podcast clips on TikTok and stuff, it's like, huh, I would like to talk about some of these things. And so when the opportunity arose, obviously I wasn't able to get like right on it because I think you asked me around the time I was finishing up finals, and
Yeah.
then
Yep.
I had a very hectic first week back because like I told you, I worked this insanely long job, and today was the first day that I was able to do it because at the end of the day, yes, you did ask me, but that's what arose the opportunity. And I'm glad I was able to take the time out of my Thursday evening. This is my technically start to my weekend after work because we don't go in on Fridays. So great way to start the weekend off and talk about some things that really changed me as a person and made me into the guy I am now, because I'm a totally different person with this fraternity, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go on and just talk about Greek life as a whole, because it can really change someone's whole life and outlook.
I completely agree. All right, Xander. Well, I appreciate you for coming on the show. As you are the second episode of season 3, our special season that is taking place over the summer. Um, I think you were a great follow up to CJ. Definitely some great stories that I've heard, and some great things that I definitely want to reach out off air about, because at the end of the day, I want to help each other out. But again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great start to your weekend.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm glad I was a good follow up and I was able to give you some insight on some of the stuff that I do and spark some questions. Because, like you were saying earlier, when you're in Orleans and people were complimenting you, that makes me feel good to hear that some of the stuff that I was saying has piqued your interest. So
100%.
definitely, when
100%.
we're when we're off air, we can go over some stuff, and then I will most likely be seeing you, or officially seeing you, in Vegas if for some reason I don't run into you before, which I doubt we will. So
Yeah, we're
I'll
both
be
busy. We're both busy guys.
yeah. So thank you again for having me.
Yeah, no, and to the audience, I believe this was a great episode. Um, and to Xander, I do challenge you. Um, I did the same thing to CJ last week. I challenge you to break records. I just went through my analytics yesterday. Number one number to hit or to beat for number one is 100 views. I challenge you, and for any brothers that are in your organization or any brothers or sisters or any one part of Greek life throughout the nation. If you're interested, don't hesitate to reach out. But again, thank you so much, Xander. And until next week, I will see you later.